from Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
On May 6, the Philippine Coast Guard heeded a medical evacuation call from MV Athens Bridge. They fetched 2 crew members who needed immediate medical attention. They also provided medical equipment and oxygen tanks for the remaining seafarers on board the container vessel. 10 of those who were left in the ship also tested positive for COVID-19, but were asymptomatic and mild. 9 tested negative. MV Athens Bridge is an all-Filipino cruise ship. But before they arrived in the country, they docked in various parts of Asia. During the first 3 weeks of April, they stopped in China, Hong Kong, and then China, Singapore, Malaysia, before they spent 2 days in India.
Ang situation kasi sa isang container vessel, karamihan nun may mga stevedores na sumasampa para tanggalin yung mga flashing bars or yung mga bakal na humahawak ng mga container para hindi yan mahulog. So ito'y mabibigat na mga bakal. That's typically mas malaki pa sa thumb ko yung bakal. Mahaba at saka may mga turnbuckles na panghigpit ng bakal panghawak. So ito'y ginagawa ng mga stevedores. Itong mga stevedores na ito ang umaakyat sa barko. So maaaring doon nagkakahawaan.
The ship proceeded to Malaysia. This is where the crew members complained of COVID symptoms. The captain's vessel requested for an RT-PCR test in Vietnam. 12 out of 21 crew members tested positive for COVID-19. 2 of them are in critical condition. The vessel was sent away, and the captain decided to proceed to Manila. May 5, they were near Corregidor Island when the captain requested a medical evacuation for the crew members. Only 1 oxygen tank was left for the crew members. It was only a day after when the Philippine government responded. One of the considerations was the IATF ruling to ban the entry of those who traveled to India. The DOH says the ship is not fit to be a quarantine facility. 10 remaining crew members were allowed to disembark and transferred to a quarantine facility. All of the seafarers will also undergo RT-PCR testing. The Philippine Manning Agency of the MV Athens Bridge said it will cover the medical costs for the affected seafarers.
The Philippine Interagency Task Force against COVID-19 released a resolution today ordering an added safeguard against more infectious variants of the coronavirus. IATF spokesman Harry Roque says those arriving in the country will have to complete 14 days quarantine, 10 days of which will be in an isolation facility.
Papatupad po ang strict symptom monitoring ng Bureau of Quarantine. Ulitin ko po, bago na po ang pulisiya natin, lahat na papasok sa Pilipinas, 14-day quarantine, absolute facility quarantine ng 10 araw, ika-7 araw kinakailangan mag-PCR at miski negatibo, kinakailangan pong manatili sa community quarantine hanggang ika-10 araw. At yung huling 4 na araw ay dapat po home quarantine sa kanilang lugar na pupuntahan.
The task force also ordered the Department of Health, Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Transportation, Department of Labor and Employment, Bureau of Quarantine, and Overseas Workers Welfare Administration to release additional guidelines. The Department of Tourism will spearhead the One Hotel Command to ensure there will be adequate rooms for inbound passengers. The Department of Transportation, on the other hand, should guarantee that swab tests will be done on the 7th day and results will be delivered on the 9th day.
Ang DILG naman po sa pamamagitan ng PNP ay tutulong sa Philippine Coast Guard para sa pagbibigay ng seguridad sa quarantine facilities. Makikipag-ugnayan po ang DOH sa OWA, sa DOTR, sa DOT, sa Bureau of Quarantine at sa University of the Philippines National Institute of Health para mas mapaganda ang current symptom tracking mechanisms at makapagbigay ng dagdag na mga tao para magproseso at mag-asikaso ng symptom tracking information.
Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III earlier appealed to President Rodrigo Duterte to shorten the quarantine time for returning overseas Filipinos, citing dwindling funds to cover all the expenses. He says he agrees to this new protocol but insists to receive added financial support for quarantine costs.
I made it very clear na we will agree provided na maibigay yung hinihingi namin additional allocation of 5.2 billion. Ayun ang ni-request namin sa DBM. And mukha naman nag-recommend ng DBM subject to the approval of the President. Knowing ang bias ng ating Presidente sa mga OFW, I am quite hopeful na the President will approve the recommendation of DBM.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Ronjean Solantes supports this new quarantine protocol and says this will ensure that COVID cases from other countries will be closely monitored.
The time of arrival, yun yung unang day as counted as 1, and then 5th day to 7th day. So, safeguards testing, number 1, if negative, continue the quarantine, and then on the 10th day, you know that the viral load, if the patient did not turn out to be positive, it's really very low. So hindi na siya ganun hindi na siya infectious, and more so na makompleto na yung 14 days quarantine.
He, however, reminds local government units to make sure that health protocols will still be strictly followed when the inbound passenger continues his or her home quarantine for the last 4 days.
Yan! Dito na! Perfect!
Via Times, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. Via Times for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. Via Times has very interesting columnists. You name it, Via Times has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call Via Times at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, I am honored to have as my guest Mr. Renato Villa. He's from the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C., and he is the Deputy Chief of Mission. Number 2 man there. Hi, Mr. Villa. Welcome to our show. Mr. Villa will be talking about the current and critical COVID issues in the Philippines, and also with regard to the much needed vaccines there. He's here to appeal or to procure through the U.S. government and vaccine manufacturers in the U.S. To help the Philippines about vaccination. Mr. Villa, welcome to our show. And first thing, can you please brief us about what the current situation of COVID in the Philippines, briefly?
Yes, ma'am. We have the latest data as of today, May 1. So far, since the pandemic began in March 2020, we have had 1,046,653 cases. Of those cases, 957,000 or about 91.4% have recovered. And as of now, we have 6.9% or 72,248 active cases. And sadly, there were 17,354 deaths, or representing 1.66% of the total number of cases. So, but as of April 29, There were 51,591 tested, and 16.8% of them tested positive. But on a positive note, 96.7% of them have mild and asymptomatic cases.
Mr. Villa, these numbers that you just read to us, is it mostly concentrated in the city or in provinces?
Concentrated, ma'am, in the national capital region.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, not really good so far. I mean, the numbers that you read. But the Philippines really, as a country, really need help. And as a third world country, of course, the medical help is always almost quite far. With that, it can be compared. Do you think it can be compared with what's going on in India?
We have less serious, far less serious naman po ang ating situation sa Pilipinas, and hopefully we can have the vaccines coming in very soon.
Okay. To tell you the truth, I just had an uphill battle fighting COVID. Last month I was tested positive, and it's horrible, horrible. And I thought I wouldn't be able to get over it. Thank God.
Yes. More, you are really blessed, ma'am, to have survived COVID.
Thank you. And okay, for vaccine, we cannot be vaccinated until after 90 days after you've had COVID. Anyway, let's talk about the vaccine procurement updates. Your job right now is to procure vaccines for the Filipino people. And so far, how are you doing in reaching out?
Through the valiant efforts of our staff, particularly Ambassador Romualdez, we now have vaccine ready for delivery, particularly the Moderna vaccines. We have signed a trilateral agreement. 13 million doses was procured by the Philippine government, 7 million doses by the private sector, and it is now undergoing FDA process approval in the Philippines. And also we have contracted vaccines from Novavax, which is a US company, but their vaccines are produced in India. And also we have supply agreement signing this week from Johnson & Johnson, 6 to 10 million doses. Expected arrival third and fourth quarter of this year. And we also have signed contracts and continuing negotiation with the Gamaleya National Center. This is the Russian company, which is producing the so-called Sputnik vaccines for 10 to 20 million doses. And through the COVAX facility of the World Health Organization, expected to arrive the second, some 2.4 million doses of Pfizer vaccines expected to arrive the second quarter. Of course, as you know, Sinovac vaccine continuing deliveries of 25 million doses. So that would be more than 120 million doses expected.
Wow, I think that's already enough, right?
More than enough, ma'am, because under our vaccination program, we hope to vaccinate around 70 million Filipinos in order to achieve herd immunity and reopen our economy.
Wow, congratulations. Sounds good. You have more than enough. And okay, how will the government administer or distribute this in the Philippines?
We will distribute this uh, firstly through the local government units, the city and town governments, so that the farthest, most remote barangay will be reached. And in fact, now there is ongoing registration of uh, of those who would need to avail of the vaccine down to the barangay level.
Is it free?
It is free. Those procured by the government, ma'am, it is free. But for the 7 million doses of Moderna vaccine procured by the private sector, of Enrique Razon, uh, the companies will purchase the vaccine for their employees for free. So the companies will pay.
The companies will pay for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but they're going to mandate the employees to be vaccinated, right?
Right, ma'am. So the private sector of the Philippines decided to participate in order to free up the government from the responsibility of vaccinating the very essential workers, so that their businesses can open, and of course, with that, our economy will recover soonest.
So, what is the estimated timeline to have a vaccinated community or a vaccinated country?
As per our target, ma'am, our timeline, hopefully before the end of this year, uh, as I mentioned, we will have we can achieve herd immunity, and then we can fully reopen, ma'am.
Sounds good. All right. So maybe we can visit the Philippines after that. We've been really eager to go to the Philippines for vacation, but we really can't these days for the last year and this year. All right. Okay. So, Filipino American community like us here in Chicago, we are quite active and really concerned about what's going on in the Philippines because really, even though we've lived here for many years, we still love our mother country. And so, how can we help?
Ma'am, in fact, there is an ongoing campaign by Filipino community organizations. They are sending letters to the White House, to President Biden, as well as to their U.S. senators and representatives and various officials. So urging these officials to send the vaccines procured by the Philippines, particularly Moderna, earlier. Because Moderna, we expect the first batch of around 250,000 by June. So we are urging them to these officials to send them earlier and increase the volume. As well, we are also the community are also targeting to appeal to the Biden administration that the Philippines should have a share of the 60 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines in store in the stockpile of the U.S. government. So sana lang man at least 5 million doses will be allocated for the Philippines out of the 60 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines, ma'am.
Correct. Well, I'm wondering because of the long distance of U.S. to the Philippines, when the vaccines arrive there, vaccines should really be refrigerated, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I wonder if they can maintain the refrigeration uh, through transport.
Yes. From of course the vaccine manufacturers under the contract guaranteed na yung cold storage, and upon arrival in the Philippines, yung the pharmaceutical company Zwelig has the storage facilities, man, cold storage facilities at the right temperature to safe keep the vaccines.
I see. Okay. Are you aware of the community pantries from the Phil-Am communities? Have you heard about that? It says like
Yes,
some
ma'am.
kind of bayanihan. So,
In fact, ma'am, Ambassador Romualdez is urging the Filipino community to contribute to your favorite community pantries in the Philippines, the one you can trust, that are reliable, such as church groups, charitable foundation, and NGOs, and support them.
I see. Okay. All right. I think we have enough information from you about what's going on in the Philippines regarding COVID and vaccine. But Mr. Villa, one last word for our community.
Yes, ma'am. For the community who wants to help, of course, if you wish to send some monetary donations, you can reach out to the DSWD, send your donations there. They have go to the official website of the DSWD, SW Donation Assistance, and there are many other informal channels, NGOs, and citizen-led initiatives to send your monetary assistance, or direct, of course, as that you mentioned, the community pantries, ma'am.
Community pantries.
Yes.
All right. Very good. This is a very informative interview, and we can still have updates later on. So don't hesitate to contact the Cprtv, Mr. Villa, or even the Philippine Embassy, and say hi to Ambassador Romualdez. Maraming salamat po. At well, I really enjoyed interviewing you and getting all this information from you. At maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ako po si Veronica. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
It's more fun in the Philippines.
a very difficult time for all of us. And at this time, just to show her support and love for Joe and Veronica, we have a good friend, Lisa Basich, who will render a song with the help of Brother Edison Dayaw. It's called Hiram sa Diyos. Before I sing the song for Tito Joe, I just want to recall, before the pandemic came or started, I'd always make sure that I call both of them to see how they're doing. And it was actually my monthly call for both of them, just to make sure again that they are okay. In the meantime, be with us. And Tito Joe is already gone before us, and we don't have any control of that. God has given his last minute of breathing, and he's always there with him. And also to look after us, that we're still here, having the joy of living, but to make sure to be kind and loving with one another. May you rest in peace, Tito Joe, and God bless you, and God bless you also, Tito Pero. Hiram sa Diyos ang aking buhay. Ikaw at ako'y tanging handog lamang. Di ko ninais na ako'y silang. Ngunit salamat dahil may buhay. Ligaya ko, ako'y isilang. Pagkat tao ay mayroong tanga, sino may pag-ibig, sino nagmamahal, kung di ang taong Diyos ang pinagmulan, kung di ako umibig, kung di ka man bigyang halaga, ang buhay kong andun, ang buhay kong ilang sa Diyos, kung di ako nagmamahal, sino ako? Thank you for listening. Thank you, Lisa. We'd like to open up the microphone for more memories about Joe. If you'd like to offer a thought or a prayer, Baron. Okay, thank you, Baron.
Yeah, I'll say something short.
Okay.
So, my name is Baron. I usually work in the back end. It's like a ninja. I like it that way. My wife, she's got the prettier face. She's always in the front. I get it. Now, it doesn't matter how sick Tito Joe was or Ninong Joe. He would always drive to deliver those Via Times paper. So in true fashion, before you leave, please pick up your copy of By Times paper located outside, and some here as well. That's it for now. I shall return. Ninja Smoke.
We're going to hear from the people behind the scenes, but before that, I'd like to call on Everett. He's one of our young professional Filipino envoys to the Philippines, also an active member of Fiesta Pinoy. That's how we had the pleasure of meeting Everett. And of course, he's been in touch with Joe and Veronica because they also supported Fiesta Pinoy. Everett, can you come up? Veronica Everett is here.
Hi, Tita Veronica. I know it's very hard for you. Doing well, thank you.
Love you.
Love you too. When I think of a relationship that is beautiful, the little moments of time I spent with Veronica and Tita Joe, it exemplifies what a community is all about, based on love and friendship. The little times I had with Tita Joe was special. It was always filled with laughter. And he reminds us that although the young, especially Filipino Americans, are given the opportunity to further the mission of representation in our community, it's always important to look back to where we started. So it was a pleasure to experience that lesson from Tito Joe and Tita Veronica. So on behalf of all Filipino American young and those young at heart, we want to thank you, Tito Joe, for his service, for Tita Veronica for her continued service in expanding the opportunities of all Filipino Americans. We'll miss you, Tita Joe. Thank you so much, Tita Veronica.
Thank you, Ika. Tito Joe really likes you.
Who doesn't like Everett? Cute. Anyway, at this time, she lost her husband last year, almost 2 years na pala. And Veronica was looking forward to a trip with her in the Philippines, but she's here today to say a few words to you. Salvi, can you please come up and I'm disinfecting the microphone.
Hello, Madam Vero. Condolence, my deepest sympathy.
How are you, Salvi?
I'm fine. Feeling right. Anyway, Joe, the last thing I remember with Joe is, I think it was pandemic already. And we met for lunch with Joe, Vero, Girly, Elizabeth, and Albert. And I remember he was asking me, Salvi, when are you gonna give me that laing or that langka that you are going to? Okay, the last thing I remember is Joe asked me, Salvi, when are you cooking that langka or that laing? Because I'm Bicolana, so I could say I cook a very good gula with gata. So anyway, one day I told Joe, okay, Joe, I have langka. Let's meet. So I'll give it to you. So I did. I gave it to him. and he took it home. 2 days after, he called me and said, "Hey, Salvi, oh my God, ang dami kong nakain. Kasi ang sarap nung gulay na langka mo. Alam mo, inunti-unti ko yon. I put it in the freezer, tapos konti-konti lang ang kain ko kasi gusto ko talagang makain ko ng gusto." So anyway, that was the last moment, that was like a month ago during the pandemic. Because me and Veronica was planning to go to the Philippines, and she is going to stay with me in Rockwell. So that was our plan, but because of the pandemic, we were not able. And Joe was okay with that. He's not coming with Madame Vero, but Vero is coming with me. So surely, we will miss Joe, and I could really relay on your pain, Vero. Take care, be strong, just have faith. We'll get through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Salvi. Joe treasured your langka. He was waiting for second serving.
One more thought. I'd like to call on Elizabeth. She cannot get out of this because she's been there from day one, and we couldn't have managed, to dissect medical stuff without her. She's been a good friend to Veronica and Joe. So Elizabeth Regacho, please come up. Because Veronica, I'm sure, wants to hear from you, and Christy and Bobby and Maya to also know you.
Hi, Vero. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It was only in the past 3 years or so that I really get to know Vero and Joe. I mean, we were invited to the same gathering, and then, they're very active in the community. I know them, but I really didn't have a chance to get to know them well. But through Girly and James, we're having, we were get together, so I get to know them. And I didn't realize that Joe was my kabalen. He's from Pangasinan, and he loves to eat, pinapaitan. And we cooked pinapaitan for him, and he was so happy. And I said, Joe, I can cook dinding too. So, he goes to my office, get the dinding, and he was so happy about it. So we will surely miss his, laughter, his jokes, and his company. He gave us, 2 big plants of chile or something. I think that's the hottest pepper in town. The ghost pepper. And actually, it's in my office, and like I was telling my husband Albert, it was actually blooming already. And he keeps on sending us like the big pet chai. And I was telling Albert too that Joe really has a green thumb and probably a green mind. So just joking. So Joe, wherever you are, rest in peace. And Veronica, we're here, and you can call us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Joe loves you.
Before we start the 6 o'clock mass, I'd like to sing this song for you, Veronica, because Joe always requested this. The one and only time I'll sing tonight. I don't know why I suddenly felt the urge, but I remember Joe asking about this. ikaw lamang ang aking iibigin magpakailanman. Ang pag-ibig ko sa'yo ay tunay, tulad din ng umaga, may pag-asa, sumisika. Jovi, if you're okay to join me. Ang ating buhay, maikli ating hilang, kung kaya kailangan ng pagsuyong wagas kailanman. Jovi Kama, ladies and gentlemen. Ang sumpa ko sa'yo'y asahan, ikaw lamang ang aking ibigin magpakailanman. Ang ating buhay may tuloy aking hiram, kung kaya kailangan ng pagsuyong wagas kailanman. Ang sumpa ko sa'yo'y asahan, ikaw lamang ang aking ibigin magpakailanman. For Joe and Veronica. Thank you, Joe, for stepping.
Thank you, girly. Thank you, Joey. I love you. Tito Joe loves you.
We would like to welcome all of you to Baladna Jewelry. We have a very big selection of 21 karat gold jewelry imported from the Middle East, from Dubai, Saudi, and Bahrain. And we have a very big selection of diamond. We offer free financing for 6 months, and we have a layaway system which you can leave your stuff for 3 months. We repair gold and we buy old gold. Welcome to Baladna Jewelry.
Salamat po.
Good afternoon. This is Bridget Carino-Cutter bringing you this week's local news from our community. A new survey of more than 1,000 working mothers who were employed in March 2020 finds that childcare burdens associated with the COVID-19 pandemic have deepened patterns of economic inequality for women in the workforce, and particularly for working mothers of color. The study was conducted jointly by the Project for Middle Class Renewal, PMCR, at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and the Illinois Economic Policy Institute. While working women, and especially working mothers, already face labor force participation and pay gaps relative to men before COVID-19, survey data makes clear that the pandemic has almost certainly worsened those disparities, said University of Illinois senior instructor and study co-author Allison Dixon, MUPP. COVID-19 has exposed the urgent needs for affordable childcare, paid family leave, flexible work arrangements, and other policy interventions to combat the gender-based structural inequities in our economy. All told, 1.6 million Illinois workers have at least one child aged 13 or younger. Just under 500,000 children, or 24% of Illinois' child care-aged population, participate in daycare or a state-recognized family home. Being a police officer isn't easy, and with the radical left coming down hard on law enforcement and calls to defund the police, the environment has made it nearly impossible to work. Swarms of officers are retiring and disappearing from the ranks, including many good law enforcement members in the state of New York. The NYPD lost about 15% of its entire force in 2020, about 5,300 uniformed officers after the death of George Floyd and the protests that followed. According to a recent NYPD report, 2,746 officers retired and 5,346 quit in the year of 2020, which is an astonishing 75% increase over the year before. Between May 25th and June 24th, 2020, approximately 272 officers left the force in 1 month. In comparison, 1,509 officers quit and 1,544 filed for retirement in 2019. This year, over 830 officers have walked away. Reports also show that shootings across the city have more than doubled in comparison from the same time period last year. In the last week of April 2021, NYPD responded to 49 people killed or wounded in 42 incidents, which is 3 times the number of shootings from the same week. In 2020, there were 9 people shot in 7 incidents. This year's National Teacher Appreciation Week takes place from May 2nd through May 8th, with May 4th being National Teacher Day. The week provides us with a timely opportunity to illustrate the power and value of teachers and parents collaborating creatively for student success. Teachers and school staff have gone above and beyond their call of duty, and they deserve a round of applause. The COVID-19 pandemic forced parents to get a first-hand feel for what their children's teachers experience daily, and many of them have a fonder appreciation for what they do. This pandemic has not been easy for anyone. Still, it helped shed light on the inadequacies students across the nation faced, especially in an online environment where access to the internet and advanced technology were not afforded to everyone equally. We must do better to support teachers and equip them with the tools and resources necessary to educate our students. Let's take this opportunity to thank all teachers and support staff who show their students that they have a brighter path ahead no matter who they are or where they live. Just in time for May's World Trade Month, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity announced the 2021 Summer Trade Mission schedule to assist companies in starting or expanding their international sales pipeline. Following the onset of COVID-19 last year, the state of Illinois will host 5 upcoming virtual trade events, allowing businesses to participate remotely alongside international partners spanning 3 continents. Trade events are designed to help Illinois companies increase international sales through a variety of resources offered by the Department's Office of Trade and Investment, OTI. These resources include Illinois State Trade and Export Promotion, ISTEP program funding, awarding by the U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA, and making $900,000 available for Illinois businesses seeking to attend trade shows to boost their international sales and market share this year. Illinois continues to be a leader in global exports, thanks to the diversity of our economy, our talented workforce, and the ingenuity and innovation of businesses that call our state home, said Governor J.B. Pritzker. Despite the pandemic, our resilient companies from every corner of the state pivoted operations and continued to expand exports. During World Trade Month and beyond, Illinois is poised to drive continued growth that will allow more local companies a chance to increase their market share, add jobs, and ensure exports play a role in rebuilding our Illinois economy. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, Commissioners Almo Anaya, 7th District, and Brandon Johnson, 1st District, and the Cook County COVID-19 Recovery Small Business Assistance Program Network announced its Together We Thrive initiative and the official launch of Small Business Week in Cook County. Throughout the week, Cook County will provide events and opportunities for entrepreneurs as well as promote community business owners, including Ramon Torres, an owner of Aztec Dave's food truck, and Verlian Singletary, owner of The Book Joint, a virtual online bookstore, who are among more than 4,000 small business owners who received support from Cook County Small Business Assistance Program. Last year, the county launched COVID-19 Recovery, a small business assistance. To date, the program has assisted nearly 2,000 small businesses owners experiencing financial hardship due to the pandemic with $16.9 million in grants. The program also provides support for small businesses impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic by offering pro bono advice, webinars, and educational resources for small businesses in Cook County. May is Foster Parent Appreciation Month in Illinois, a time to thank the thousands of foster families across the state who are providing temporary safe havens to youth and urge other residents to become licensed foster families. Youth are placed in the temporary care of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, by local courts when it is determined that their families cannot safely care for them. DCFS works with the family to make the positive changes necessary to reunite their children with the foster families, step up and provide homes where the children are protected, nurtured, and loved. Today, there are just over 21,000 youth living in foster care in the state. 8,200 are living with foster families, 11,300 with relatives, and 1,200 in group homes and institutions. By opening their hearts and homes, foster parents give vulnerable children the stability and connections to community, friends, and family members they need to thrive, said Illinois DCFS Acting Director Mark D. Smith. They are an invaluable part of the children welfare team, and we could not do the work of keeping children safe without them. Currently, foster homes are needed for sibling groups, adolescents, African American and Latino youth, children with special medical needs, teenage mothers and their babies, and LGBTQI youth. To learn more, visit the Heart Gallery of Illinois at https:/greenlightfamilyservices.org/heartgalleryofil. That's all for today. Thank you for watching our news this week. This is Bridget. See you next time.